Hey guys, welcome back to Yacht Car Restoration.
In this video, much to my pleasure, we are going to be showcasing our RX7, the one I've owned for 21 years. The car has its own little ecosystem.
So first of all, we're going to give it the first wash in 12 years.
And then we're going to go through all the mechanics, all the bodywork, all the modifications and what we've got planned for it.
So let's grab some sponges.
And let's wash on. Wash time. This is after the first wash. What a beautiful machine. What a car. I've owned this, the Mazda Rx7 FD3S, 21 years ago. It was just straight black. These decals, when I got the car, the first thing I did is I wanted to repaint it. So the engine was good, so I actually painted these on. So these are painted decals, and this was kind of Need for Speed style 21 years ago, so it was fantastic. It was a show winning car, which will pop a few pictures up on Instagram. Then decided to update the engine. Now, it was running a standard port, standard twin turbos. I wanted a little bit more out of it. So what I did is I updated to Night Sports twin turbos. That gave me something like about 1.2, 1.4 boost. I wasn't confident that that would not detonate with the mapping that was on it. So I added all things like water and aqua mist. I put the gauges in, the DEFI gauges, the oil and the water temperatures, and the oil and water pressures as well. Not the water pressure, but the oil pressure. Just all for reliability. After winning all those shows, show and shines, I started my own company. I then were too busy to look after the Rx7, so I actually laid it up, and it was only supposed to be temporary, so I popped it on grass and I thought it's not going to be there long. 12 years later, this is how she come off of the grass, which is crackers. The bonnet used to be carbon fibre. It still is carbon fibre, but it's gone all opaque. It's a Sebon bonnet, so it cost me a fortune. The water's got underneath the lacquer. So what we're going to do with this, we're just going to paint it black. Now, the decals, my son behind the camera, Ryan, he wants me to keep them. Whether we do, we haven't decided yet. Now, originally, if I remember rightly, I think it's still got the gearbox that's got OS Gink internals in it. The differential is a limited slip differential. There used to be a 380 brake horsepower block in there. The reason why I laid it up was I took out the three, because I got to the Night Sports turbos. I thought I'll go single turbo. My plans got bigger and bigger and bigger for it. We ended up with a peripheral ported engine with 42mm ports with a GT42 turbo on it. It was this big, it was massive. Now it used to spool. The problem is the gearbox, the differential, my drive shafts, my half shafts, everything, I couldn't support the engine. I put a gearbox in it with uprated internals in it. I can't remember what the gearbox was, but the second launch we broke it. The differential, which was a limited slip differential, I've since replaced it. It was a Cusco differential. I broke it. So this car was making serious brake horsepower. Some people estimated it to be like 650 brake horsepower, and the gearbox and the differential, they weren't supporting it. So I needed thousands of pounds just to support the peripheral ported engine. So out come the peripheral ported engine, and it sat with a 400 brake horsepower street ported block in there, still on a small single turbo. So after being laid up for about 12 years, we kind of brought it here to the workshop to try and give it a new lease of life, because I've got a new passion for it again. And the engine was seized. There was too much water ingress. Unfortunately, these vents, they don't keep water out. I don't know why, but they just don't keep water out. So I just covered the engine, they got it in the internals, and it just seized up. Stripped it apart, it was an absolute mess. So we've rebuilt the engine again to quite an aggressive street port again, and we're going to go for a medium-sized turbo. We haven't decided what size yet, and we're going to basically run it on a Haltech 1500, and we're also getting a terminated loom for it as well. So all this is going to go. We've got a temperature controller. This is for letting us control when the fans kick in, the pivot one. This is actually the controller for all the DEFI gauges. This is a water mist controller. That'll let me know that the safety features are in place. I can see that the water's injecting. We're going to use the water not really for tuning. We're going to tune it for water, but we're going to use the water as a safety feature. So we're going to suppress any detonation in there. Momo race steering wheel. I did put this on. Strangely enough, apparently this was an old school original Ferrari badge. No reason for being there, I just like the Ferrari badge. So that's why that's there. The gauges, we've got DEFI oil temperature gauge. Very reliable DEFI gauges and DEFI sensors. We've got the water temperature gauge, because the FD water temperature gauge, it's more like a switch. It kind of go, this is the water gauge in an FD. We're cold. We're warm. Yep, we're still warm. Inside here we've got the AVCR. We don't know whether the Haltech, I haven't done enough research, if the Haltech is going to control boost the way we want it to. So the AVCR boost controller, at the moment, we're going to keep that in. We've kind of built that into the dash. It needs building in better because it was a last minute thing. So we're going to build this dash in a lot nicer. This car is running on Tyne Super Streets as well. They're a nice suspension for street and a little bit of track, because this car isn't going to be tracked. I might do a little track day on it, but I'll be gentle with it. There'll be no thrashing it. We've got the Tyne Super Streets, which have got the motors on the top. So when I'm on the motorway, if I want it nice and comfortable, press a button, it automatically winds the comfort for us, so it's a softer dampener. So we've got 3 settings here, but we can also change the settings on the fly. Right, in the footwell, in here, we've got Race Logic traction control. What it does is it cuts injectors. Now, everybody swore blind at me saying don't cut injectors because you'll run lean, you'll blow your engine up. But I know if you fully cut injectors, you just don't get ignition. Now, if you pull fuel, that's when you run lean. That's when you detonate. But when you cut injectors, you don't detonate. Anyway, that's Race Logic traction control. That's built into that sidewall there, and it's actually got launch control. And if we fit a switch to it, it's actually got flat shift as well. This, at the time, 15 years ago, this was the only option you had to put a wideband controller in your car, and that was like a full-blown wideband controller already plumbed in, and all I did was hook it up to the laptop. That's how I tuned it on the road. All this here, this is all wires that need trimming, and these are actually just the wires that go to the motors for the top of the suspension. That big bunch of wires down there is for the ECU. Now, we've taken that ECU out. It was running on an Apexi PFC, but as we said, we're going to run it on the Haltech 1500 with a terminated loom. So in here, I think that's it. I think we've got a few things in boot though. Let's put a boot. Right, we did build, this is literally some ducting for the turbo itself, so we can get a bit of cold air to the front of it. We built the battery into the boot. We're going to go for weight distribution, make it a very balanced car. So we put this in the boot. We're going to put a little bit of weight just in the passenger side to even out my weight as well. Not for racing or anything, just because I like weight distribution. This is just a support for the engine bay. This here is when I had the PFC. I was sick of cables, so in the footwell, I just plugged it on the back and I just built in a USB, just so I just had this one cable that I could plug in and plug out. We'll probably do away with that now. Obviously we've got the engine brace. This is the old filler neck. but with the way we're doing the engine, we've gone for a steel one. I've only actually bought this because I want this end bit so it marries up to the RX7, because we're probably going to refabricate. We're going to use the top, we're going to use the bottom, but we're going to refabricate this so we've got a different angle to it. Obviously we've got a filter end, HKS, no need for that anymore. We've got a cheap tape measure. I think that's about it, apart from some rubber hoses and some jubilee clip. Possibly, yeah. I need to unlock on the ground. I think. Well, that's where she's going to live again. Not for too long, hopefully. Get her inside, get engine in, get her sorted out.